I've said that for a long time, having been on a spiritual path, my own awakening, I guess you would say, started 28 years ago now. And,
Wow. And you're only
I remember,
25, so that's really amazing.
yeah, yeah, I'm 49 now. So whatever the math is there.
Look at you,
And
brother. 49?
I just refuse to grow up. So,
Fist bump,
it seems,
man.
yeah,
Yeah. I love it.
yeah. It's a trip though. Exactly what you're saying. I remember early on in my journey, it was like reading about spiritual concepts and the awakening coming in. And,
Yeah.
I'd talk to anyone who'd listen about this stuff. And it was, a lot of like, oh, that's interesting, or you're crazy, or, and people go about their daily life. Now, I'm go to a lot of transformational festivals and kind of in the conscious community, around that whole world. And it's like every 21-year-old's like, duh, of course I know I'm one with the source consciousness that creates and animates all things. Like, that's old news. And it's really interesting to see how it really has been the awakening that was foretold back then,
Yes. Look back on some of those channelings. Go back and read Sedona Journal, which is a great magazine, guys. It's been around for a long time. And I used to have my channelings printed in that back 12, 13 years ago. And back then it was for this little community. And they were talking about there's an awakening coming. Things are going to change. But it wasn't about suddenly the skies open up and rainbows come down and the angels come down or even the aliens come down. It was about you're going to come out.
Yeah.
Not what's coming down to go into you. It's about you're going to finally let out the light of who you are, that you come from that you are made of that.
Yeah. Right. And like you sort of alluded to earlier, removing the things, the barriers that are keeping you from your truest self. It's less about adding and more about taking things away, I think.
Well, I got to tell you something. I find many great lessons in situations that people don't even know they're teaching me something, right? They're just talking about what they're doing. And I'm going, oh my God, that applies to everything.
Yeah.
So years ago, and I was in New York City, I was a little background on me. I was born in Harlem in New York. My parents came from India. I was born in Harlem, raised in the Bronx in New York. And great place for a shy Indian boy to grow up was in the streets of the Bronx in the 80s. Anyway.
I can imagine.
Well, it teaches you how to make use of being 6'3" and 225 pounds.
Very quickly.
You find your ground, right? So it was, I was going to go into WWE or I was going to be a psychic medium. So funny story is that, so when I first started going to the gym and I said to the guy at the gym, the trainer, I said, I want to get abs. I want to get a six pack. And he said to me, he goes, everyone has a six pack. And I thought, what kind of drugs is this guy on? And what do you mean everyone has a six pack?
It's under the donuts.
No one, clearly no one has a six pack. But only a few people have a six pack. And he said, Riz, everyone has a six pack. It's just you have fat covering it.
Yep.
Now he didn't realize maybe he did, but he didn't realize where I was taking it was, we already have something, but we have, through perhaps some misguided consciousness of how we eat or how we take care of ourselves, we started gaining a lot of weight. Now, not everyone is supposed to have a six pack. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm just saying is that underneath what we have accumulated that weighs us down, there is this vital, lean, gleaming energy that we are. And so as we remove trauma, as we understand that everything is part of our soul's path, as we stop blaming ourselves or others or victimizing ourselves or others, as we start to say, I am actually in this moment in charge of how I feel. And that is the most empowering thing, and also really scary, because our programs are, no, it's because that happened and that happened. So how do we go from it's because that happened, instead of, like, see how I'm saying it? It's because that happened. Instead, it could be like, it's because that happened.
Right. Big difference.
It's because that happened. Like, look how you just say it differently.
Right.
And the moment you start to say it differently, the reprogramming begins, because there was a group text that went on, and I lead retreats, several retreats in different sacred places around the world for the last last decade. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
there's these group texts that people still text on, even though the retreat was 3 years ago, and they'll still be like, Happy New Year or whatever. And someone wrote,
Yeah.
oh my God, guys, I'm doing Happy New Year to you guys. I just got fired from my job of 25 years, whatever. And everyone rolled with sympathy. And I just wrote, congratulations.
Right.
So excited for you.
Right.
Because that's
the
actually
difference.
what I do feel, because I've reprogrammed myself enough for that.
Yep.
And then now we're like set up for a little conversation, a little pep talk I'm going to give him.
Yep.
And then he finally wrote, you know what? I'm kind of excited too.
Yeah. Why is this happening for me? This is the question to pose.
What
Always.
I also like? Yeah. Why is this happening for me? And then, when you have heard people say, why is the universe doing this to me? And then we change it to why is, so the universe is creating this for me. If you have a vague, go deep here, if you don't really know what the universe feels like to you, maybe it's certainly not the physical universe of planets and galaxies. That's not the universe we're talking about. We're talking about the guiding force of all existence, the source, the force, whatever mother, father, God word you want to use. Is that if that troubles you at times, saying the universe, I suggest replacing the term the universe with the word my future self.
Yeah.
So instead of the universe is doing this for me, how about my future self is creating this for me to become that future self, which already is inside, which you surrender to by removing that which weighs you down.
Right. And you're tapping into that. Now you're aligning with that expanded version of self,
Yes.
higher self, however you want to refer to it. And when you're aligning with that version of self, you're seeing and perceiving reality the way it sees and perceives reality. And you are it and it is you in a sense. Now the separation is removed. And when you're removing the separation, it's able to perform through you. I often say, our higher self, our expanded self, our future self is playing chess and we're playing checkers. So I can make moves based off of what I think with my limited little human mind is the best thing for me, with that healthy sense of detachment that, and this expanded version of myself is seeing a whole different way to move. And I trust
lies
that.
The upgrade. So we as a species, and I'm going to tell you something. So whether you're watching this podcast on a phone or a laptop or the screen on your TV, I'll tell you something. Both the phone, the laptop, and the TV are made. Just let this land, and then we're going to dive a little deeper before we start channeling. Is that these devices, your phone, your TV, and your laptop, are made from plants and rocks. Let's go slow. It's nice to hear it, right? But let's go slow.
Right.
What do you mean plants and rocks? Yeah, what you're watching this on is plant-based.
Yeah.
The machine that you're watching this
vegan.
on is plant-based. It is.
Yeah, right.
Because what are the components made of? Glass, minerals.
Quartz.
It's all minerals, crystals.
Yep.
And what about the plastic? Plastic is made from petroleum, which is made from oil, which is made from millions of year old dead plants.
Yep.
So even the plastic. And if I were to take a molecule of this plastic off of this screen right now and put it under this electron microscope, guess what you would see? It's alive. It's not dead.
Yep.
So what is this life force? You go, well, that's matter. Well, what is matter? Isn't it intelligence with potentiality and capacity to exist?
Yep.
Yes.